throw in one more sound effect before you go.
Oh, all right.
Oh man.
Hold on. I can't. She's got hosting abilities. I can't share anything right now.
Oh,
Oh
Maybe I'll
man.
do it. Maybe I'll come into. I'll open tomorrow and I'll stay tomorrow and I'll throw you guys a sound effect and then leave. How's that sound? All right.
that'll get him to come back.
All right. We'll do a sound effect tomorrow and then I'm out. All right. So
All right.
have
Thanks
a
for
good night,
everything,
guys.
Matt.
I'll see you.
You
I'll
too.
see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Bye.
Okay, let's talk about closings. Let me get my slides to work. First, let's talk about legal notifications. TCPA is very, very, very serious. So please, please, please make sure you're using something such as Command because that allows us to have the proper things in place. Mind the do not call list. When you are getting someone to register, please make sure that you're getting their information and they're consenting. And if they no longer want to have you contact them, please remove them. There are some hefty fines going around. And anything that we're saying is examples because we are going to be talking about the end of like contracts. If we talk anything, it's going to be hypothetical as far as commissions or any of those. Always default to your supervising broker. And everything's copyright. The good people at Keller Williams are very, very fair in letting us share their information as long as we are giving them credit. And fair housing, we want to abide by that. Can spam, that's going to go back to your emails. And the AI the thing I keep hearing is that is just to enhance your business because we like to be in a relationship business. So we're going to make sure that that AI is just enhancing what we're already doing with our relationships. Everything on here is copyright, and we're actually going to just touch on Keller Inc. tonight because they've got some great resources for us. So we'll be looking at that, and we'll also be referencing a couple of the Keller Williams books. So we're in transactions. You guys are at the end of the transactions. You are looking at get to close and plan your future. Another common way of hearing this is contract to close. So we're going to go through our timelines tonight. We're going to talk about some of the best practices. We are going to be talking about just contract as far as the timelines on that, and then we'll look at the buyer side. We're going to look at the seller side and see how the contract plays into that. We're going to dig really, really deep into this tomorrow, to be honest. We're going to actually go through and do a few things in opportunities just to do some role playing on it. But tonight we're just going to go through some of the systems that are available to you. And to start with, would anyone like to read this quote from Gary Keller out of The Millionaire Real Estate Agent? If you'd like to, just take yourself off mute. Go ahead and say it. Nicole, I'm looking at you because you're looking at me on the Zoom screen if you feel like saying it.
Alrighty, so real estate transactions aren't particularly trouble-free, it's a strenuous and trying time that requires all the attention and effort you can command.
Thank you. So Gary's right. Contract to close is its own unique beast. And it also, like I'll say many times tonight, is my most favorite part of everything. It's where you're really going to solidify your relationships with your client, with your allied resources. You will find that some of your lenders, your title people, your inspectors, your appraisers become just these go-to resources for you. And everybody's really pitching in to get us to the one goal, and that's getting this transaction closed. So we're just moving this ship forward is what we're trying to do. So we want to look at some timelines because the contract is going to give us timelines that we're going to be referring to throughout this process. And what we're going to start with is that we're going to look at the contract. You guys have one in your participant guide. I think you've referred to it a couple different times now throughout Ignite. And what we want to do is just have that one handy. So I'll give you guys just a second to, if you don't have your materials, pull that up. And then tomorrow, I'm in the state of Colorado. I know we've got some people from Colorado here. We've also got people from all around the nation. But tomorrow we're going to dive into the contract and just kind of mock one up and go through some of these dates in depth and look at it in a couple different ways. But for tonight, let's start with the contract timeline. So what we're looking at here to start with is about a 30-day close. And we're guessing that the inspection is going to be right in the middle of this one. And so on this contract acceptance, there's a lot of things that come into play on it. And a lot of people who come into play on it. This is a very, very simplified version of what we're looking at. And I did not do one too specific just because we're around the nation. So I'm using what Keller Williams has for it. But these are just kind of your starting dates. You've got your contract acceptance date. Your inspection's usually going to fall a couple weeks after that. And then your closing on this one's a 30-day. In my area, we generally see 45. Adam, I'm going to lean on you for this. You're probably somewhat similar to what we've got going on. Are you at about a 45-day? What are you guys seeing up in your area?
We're about the
I'm
same.
gonna
We're about
just-
45 days.
And so I'm going to stop the share for just a second so I can see your guys' faces. And so one thing that we've learned, and Tyra, you're in the same area, so I'm guessing you're probably right around the same too. Yeah. Michael, I see a thumbs up on that. So we, in our area, our MLS is going to be counting the days to contract a little bit differently. I think everybody, different MLSs do it different ways. We put down the day that we went under contract on our MLS. Some places will do it from the day of the listing to the day that it closed, will be days on market. Some will do it from the day of like listed to the day of the contract will be at the days on market. So know that there's some nuances around the country in different ways that different days are counted. But on this, what we're looking at is not necessarily the MLS, but what we're going to find in our dates and our deadlines on the contract to buy and sell. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. And so 30 days is fast. Be nice to your title companies. That's why we want to have good relationships with people is they get busy. And when it's your busy time, it's their busy time also. So make sure that you're keeping all your allied resources in mind. Let me just go back to my share screen on this. And we are going to start brainstorming just a little bit. There we go. On different people that we are working with in the contract. I'm not going to break y'all up into small groups. I just figured we can utilize the chat. And then you guys have some space in your workbook to also be writing on this. But think about 3 different people that you're going to work with throughout the contract. Buy side or sell side, we're looking at both right now. And then let me pull up my chat and we can just drop some of these in the chat. So possible people, I'm going to start with title because I keep saying title. So your title agent, your closing officer, they can be, yep, lenders. We've got lenders, attorneys. Nice. Scott, are you in a state where an attorney is required or is it off recommendation? And you can unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat, whichever you're comfortable with. I love TCs.
I'm in Illinois. As far as I was trained, it's not required, but I advise my clients to use an attorney. That way they have another fiduciary working in their best interest. They have open lines of communication and they're not running around like a chicken with their head cut off trying to complete the sale or the buy or whatever. You know, I just tell them for simplicity's sake, especially if they're selling and you can get them pretty close to what they're trying to net, it just makes perfect sense.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, it's always helpful to have more people helping out for sure. How about insurance? Are you guys running into well, maybe you have not run into it on a contract yet, but are you hearing talk of insurance? I know that we have, oops, I'm just sliding right through. We have different states, so California, Florida, Colorado, the Carolinas. We are all kind of getting a different kind of insurance than we got previously. I know at our market center, in our office at team meetings, we have insurance agents coming in and talking to us a lot more than we used to have. And that date for the insurance has become something that was significant before, but a lot more significant now because we are having people who are getting canceled policies. I'm in a very wooded area, so it has changed the nature of it. So we love, love, love on our insurance agents because they are doing double and triple work right now to find us the best quotes possible. Yeah, yeah. Insurance inspectors, lenders, title, they're all some of my most favorite people. They really help us get things going. I can't say enough good about our allied resources because they are going to be, they've been through it before. They don't, at least our title companies don't get paid unless it closes. So they're all going to try and help you move towards that same big goal. Appraisers, yep. And our appraisers, it's been interesting ever since COVID. I think we're finding that we're all kind of in the same data because it's been rare to have our appraisers touch on something that's so far off base from what we were seeing on our CMAs. It's been really nice to have everybody together. Oh, yeah, Lisa, that's a great point. Contractors. So we're going to talk about inspections in a few minutes, but that is wonderful to have somebody in pocket for being able to help you when something comes up in inspection. So both your inspector and also having someone who can help. We have old homes that have crazy electrical here, so sometimes we end up with the whole house needs a new electrical service or something like that. Knowing who to call can really help out. Roofers, painters, yeah. And especially we have photographers. Yeah. We have great photographers. They have been super helpful, and I can tell you a class that I was doing on investors, they said the first thing you should do is look for the listing with the worst pictures. So you don't want to be that listing ever. We always want to have good photographers. They don't want to use you as the example with a really bad iPhone photo that's like skinny and it's on $1 million house. You want the pretty one. So cool. Have you guys had a chance to write these down? Yeah, AC company. You guys, I talked about snow. I'm wearing a sweater. It's going to be 20 degrees out here tonight. You guys were like 100 degrees in Texas, is what I keep hearing. So definitely the AC company. Okay. I think that that gives you guys some ideas onto allied resources. So moving on to the next one, we're going to look at buyers specifically now. So buyers have specific needs in the contract. The contract's for both buyer side and the listing side. And so we want to make sure that we're catching all those dates and deadlines. So let's take a look at what the buyers are looking at. We also want to make sure that we're properly communicating with these guys too. So you're going to have probably some time in with the buyers by the time you get to under contract on a property with them. You've probably already established a relationship with them. We're going to talk about buyer documents. We are doing, it's 84 in Minnesota and it's going to be 20 here tonight. I never knew of Minnesota actually being warmer than Colorado. Sorry, that's the Texas one I understood, but it's really warm in Minnesota. It's crazy. Oh, I hope you guys get some rain on those fires. Okay, so let's talk about buyers. So in my state, we have used buyer's agency, was common. I know other states have other things, so we're making some assumptions because we're going under contract and we're going to say that you've already established some basic paperwork with your buyers. And then we also think about what everybody has a compliance officer at their market center. If you've not met your compliance officer, go and friends with them. I'll tell you, our compliance officer likes to get flower seeds. So I make sure she gets flower seeds every springtime because she makes sure that our stuff goes through. She answers questions for us and she makes sure we get paid. So love on that compliance officer. Your compliance officer is going to have an assumption that you've got your documents in place. And so we want to make sure that that we're doing that for them. You want to make sure that everyone on your team's got those things in place. So your buyer's going to already have that relationship with you. You're already in conversation. You've already got some documents going. You're going under contract with them. And now they have some timelines that we're going to have to figure out here. So going to the contract buy and sell, we've got a couple different things. We've got that middle contract part where we're looking at the contract got accepted. We kind of have inspections in the middle, and then we've got closings at the end. Now what you're seeing on top is the buyer side of it. So the BA is the buyer agency. And those are your duties to be fulfilling as the buyer's agent. So one of the first things you're going to start talking about now, it's a little different in every place, and it also is a little bit different according to what your title company wants, what your supervising broker wants, what your state laws are. So I'm going to be referencing to Colorado. Please, please, please listen to whatever your supervising broker or your compliance officer is telling you on this. So we generally will end up being concerned with our earnest money on the buy side first. In our state, we happen to be doing our earnest money about 3 days after that mutual execution of the contract. And I am going to just pop out of here for 1 second because I have a resource that I think I'm going to send it to Alana and Matt to send to you guys, and it may not work in your exact area, but it'll get you kind of where you need to be to find the one for you. And it's a contract date line from a title company. So let me just open that up real fast for y'all. And what I tell people is start with this. And then when you are going through your first contracts, you have a lot of support. So you've got your amazing productivity coaches. We've got a few on here who can vouch that I'm guessing you guys maybe a time or two, or maybe every time, end up helping people with the contracting the dates. Is that true? Yeah. And so you're going to have your coaches. You are going to have in our market center, in addition to having our productivity coaches helping out on the contracts, our supervising broker actually likes to take a look at the contracts for the first. He actually has 2 years that he's able to review these with people. It doesn't always last for 2 years, but he has that supervision. So he goes in, and a big part of what he's looking at is making sure that those dates are something that's going to work well for everybody involved, in addition to the other parts of the contract. So let me just share this, and it's actually just a website, but we print these out. You might have one already. Title companies really like to give these to us, and they're incredibly helpful. So let me share. And this is going to be for everything, both buy side and list side in the Colorado contract that we're looking at. Okay, you guys should see a page that says contract date guide. Okay, I think it just popped up for you now. So best recommendations, what I like to do is go through a mock contract, writing in those dates. Doesn't matter what software you're in on that doing it, they're all going to be about the same. And then just running through with either a coach or accountability buddy or your supervising broker or your team member, and just making sure that you've got a pretty good idea as to where you're at. So this is specific to the Colorado contract. So we're starting with the time of day deadline. Defaults to 11:59 if we don't set it. Most people are now setting it to like between 6 or 8 at night. We have a few agents who do leave it at 11:59. I work with one agent in particular where it is his tactic to make you stay up at night. So make sure that if that's something on your contract, you're checking that. MEC is mutual execution of contract. So that's when all the signatures are on there. It's fully executed. So earnest money, usually 2 to 3 days from when that contract's in our state. Again, this is going to be different. Use best guidelines in your market center. And then you've got title. So I'm in a part of the world where we've got a couple different title agencies. They're kind of smallish. They do an amazing job. When they get busy, they will ask us to do sometimes 10 to 14 days. Or I was just working with someone on a transaction where they were okay delivering title on 10 days, but they asked for the resolution to get pushed out like 3 weeks, which was the longest I had seen from them. If your title company asks you to do something like that, probably listen to them because they probably have something that they know about that property. Also tend to go to the title companies that maybe had that previously so that they have a lot of research already. Their title mill already has a lot of research on that property. We also are in an area with water rights. Anyone else have septic that they have to deal with in their world? I see some head nods and there's no smiling with those head nods. Yeah, septic. It's the things that we have to know about that I didn't know we were going to have to know these things. So yeah, and then also mineral rights. Adam, I see you're off mute.
I just wanted to share a quick story about the septic. There was a younger agent that started in our area, and he was getting the septic inspected. And as he was walking along and they were trying to clear the lid, it caved in and he fell in. And it was, it was horrible. So yes, there's no good comes out of a crappy situation like that.
Literally a crappy situation.
Yes.
Yeah. If it's flat around there, don't walk on it. Probably going to be the tank. Yeah. So yeah, listen to what the other people are saying to you. Take it into consideration. We also bunch a lot of our stuff. So like you'll often see in contracts in our office, title, seller property disclosure, and then maybe the association documents are all going to be on those same dates. So on this, it's got 1 to 3 days for the seller property disclosure. I can't tell you why, other than it's a long document sometimes, but we were having a hard time getting our clients to give that to us by the time that we had the earnest money in. So we just kind of moved that to like 5 days after contract. You'll start to see, they should have it done already, should. So communicate with your client. That's going to be on the listing side that you're giving it to. Lead-based paint, please make sure that everybody signs those documents if you have to have those. 1978, but in our market center, we've bumped it up to 1980. So anything in the early 80s, we usually have a lead-based paint. The thought is they might have had some extra paint around in the garage or something. Loans, that's all dependent on how that buyer's doing those loans. You'll get input. Sometimes they actually come to you to the loan has already been applied for. So you don't have to worry about starting that date off. You can just fill in those other dates. Appraisals are usually coming from the lender. So they're going to have a large part of it. ILC or surveys, that's one of the reasons why we go to the title company that had the property property previously, our title companies will allow us, and I'm not going to quote the time period, but within a certain time period, if there was a recent ILC or survey that's going to satisfy what they need for OEC insurance, they will allow us to use that again, and that saves money. Check with your title company. That one might just be specific to our area, but that's one of the reasons why we do seem to go to the same title companies, is they've got stuff on hand from the last transaction. Water rights, boy, I live in Colorado. Whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. So I don't want to say a lot about water, but if you have water rights with your property, be on it fast. This would be something like a ditch is running through, it's a rural area, they have some water for irrigation, things like that. It's going to be beyond the well or the central water or the cistern or whatever water they have for the house. It's going to be the extra water rights that are coming with it. And you're going to want to make sure that you've got your title company aware of it, because they're going to be doing some transfers of either a deed or certificates. And then whoever is transferring, be a water company, a ditch company, something like that. So make sure you've got that. Same with mineral rights. For some reason, people don't have the same witty expressions about water and mineral. They just get mad about water here, not so much the mineral rights. So, but that falls in the same boat. Inspections, even if say you have the buyer and they're not worried about inspections, put that date down, and you can decide later on that they want to waive their inspection. We had a lot of contracts going through during the COVID time without inspections, and what our E&O guy tells us, the gentleman who issues our insurance, is most lawsuits are 3 or 4 years is the date of discovery. And if they didn't have an inspection, that's generally what they're going to come back to. They might not want it at the time, but they're going to come back to you if you didn't allow for them to have that inspection. So please make sure that even if they don't feel like they want it, you've got that in there. You can always say that the buyer decided not to inspect. Property insurance, like we talked about before, find a great insurance agent or 2 or 3 that you have a good relationship with. We have an independent agent that we call on in our office. She works in the same building and she can do everything except for American Family and 2 other companies. I can't remember who. So she'll quote as much as she can for us. And then if she can't get us a good quote, we know that we can then go to an agent with American Family or another insurance company. But that's in some states has become super sensitive. And then you've got your due diligence. Those are going to be found in the contract. Those are going to vary from contract to contract. Sometimes there's nothing. Sometimes people ask for a whole lot of stuff in there, and do your best on it. I recently was going through one with an agent where they wanted every receipt that they could find on any repair ever in the house. And the homeowner did their best to find as many receipts as they could. They found as many warranty books as they could. They really did do their best at coming up with a lot. It was a pretty uneventful house while they lived there. They hadn't really replaced much, but you will see in that contract that there's going to be some items requested for due diligence. And then there's some conditional things. If you have another sale, that is a conditional sale in the contract, that it's actually part of the contract. You're going to put that in there. Your lead-based paint termination day is also going to go in there. And then you've got your closing date, your possession date, your possession time, and then the acceptance. That's how long they have for the contract. So that was a lot of diversion, but I thought that might be helpful to just kind of take a look and go through these, like I said, are in order of the Colorado contract, pages 3 and 4, where our dates and deadlines are. But you can find something real similar in your state. Probably a local title company, if you just ask them if they happen to have a sheet with contract dates for you. I'm going to send this to Alana and Matt because they're sending out resources, but it'll get you kind of close. If you're not in Colorado, it might just be gobbledygook because it's not going to line up really with your contract, but it can get you kind of close on things. Any questions on this portion right now or any comments? Okay, jumping back to the slides then. So as you can see, those buyer timelines, they don't have all of them on there. You can't put all the contract dates on the slide. It would be too much. But they've given you some highlights. So you've got, they're going to get a hold of the inspector. You've got your earnest money. You are working with the listing agent to get that inspector in there. So you're going to be communicating, and you're going to be communicating anyways with that other agent. So that's not a problem. You'll get that inspection report back. You'll go through that inspection report. Adam and Tara, you might have really good words on this, but what I'm going to say is a lot of times what we go through with our agents is to be the unemotional, logical, maybe and calm in the middle of a storm, because inspections recently have been becoming almost an emotional thing in a transaction. And so we're just really encouraging all of our agents as they're going through that inspection report with their clients to just be kind of that voice of reason and almost the calming part of all of it. At the same time, being very, very, very serious with their concerns. So I'm in an area with radon, and we have some buyers that will not even entertain a house, even if it's mitigated, if there's radon over a certain percentage, mold spores or something that people are very sensitive to, any of those health issues that seem to come up in the inspection. But if we're talking about something like carbon monoxide detectors that need to be added in, or a pilot light that just needs to be replaced on a stove, or a GFI outlet that needs to be replaced, something like that, we really try and just be calm if they are upset over things. Any input from my PCs here?
No, I think you covered it really well. We got to be calm. We got to help them make it through the decisions, and help them choose which hill to die on, because you don't want a transaction to fall apart because they didn't want to put in a carbon monoxide detector. That's a minor repair. Now, if it's the entire roof, then you have to talk. But you just kind of go through the inspection report, and I try to lay it out as anything safety related is probably going to be needed taken care of. If it's cosmetic, then that's something that we can negotiate. But safety issues, definitely we want to take care of, make sure we're providing a safe house and nothing happens.
For sure. And Nicole, what you said is just spot on, setting expectations. Absolutely. I mean, that's your job. That's your job always. Yeah. Yeah. And there's a great Phil Jones. It's on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent podcast with Jason Abrams. It's one of his very first ones. Might be the second or third. It was in the beginning, but they're talking about setting those expectations with your clients ahead of time. So if you're looking at a home that is not brand new, there's probably going to be something that comes up in that. So letting them know when you get to that inspection time. And it's the inspector's job to point out everything that they can. We have a variety of inspectors in our area. Some of them love a good 75-page report. Some of them love a handwritten 1-page report. So we see a gamut of them. And it's interesting because if you're on the buy side, you might be with that guy who does that 75-page report. But if you're on the listing side, you might be hoping you get that guy with that 1-page report who's retiring this year. So inspectors are going to give you different things too on it, but definitely on the health and safety and keeping their expectations and knowing it's not personal. Being on the listing side, and we'll see that inspection come up on the listing side too. Sometimes things can be construed as personal, so just letting people know that it's not personal. Yeah, exactly. It's not a pass or fail. Every home's going to have something that's going to get pointed out in it. We also do have inspectors in our area that will, if you're on the list side and you do the inspection with them, they do a pre-inspection report. They can give you a list of items. This is actually House Masters, and I think they're nationwide, so you can check into your House Masters in your area. But if you go back and you have those fixed, they'll go back and do the inspection for free, update that report, and then you have a pre-inspection report that you can give to people and a seller property disclosure. No, I just got it copied from our lawyer again yesterday. No one ever gets sued for disclosing too much. Put it on that seller property disclosure. Make sure they have it on there. Make sure they've got the yes and there's comments. Yeah, it's important to disclose as much as we can. Different states have different laws about some disclosures as far as we don't, we want to disclose, but we're not trying to, we just had something come up where someone passed away in their yard while the house was listed. Had that they chose to add that to the inspection report because there's almost always a neighbor with a bundt cake that comes to do a housewarming and tell the person how happy they are that they moved into the neighborhood. And then when they bring that bundt cake over, they just want to talk about what the last people who lived there did. So make sure that there's no surprises going on, that you've disclosed as much as you can. And then they just enjoy the bundt cake and their new neighbor, and things are all good and fine. And you don't get a weird phone call afterwards about someone dying in the yard. So yeah, disclose, disclose, disclose. That's my thing on this. Okay, moving on. Oh, let me get back to the slide and then we'll be moving on here. Okay, so we kind of covered this already. Communication is a big one. We've got a couple of different ways that we're doing this in our office. And if you guys want to throw in the chat what is good in your area, we are, yeah, pre-inspection is definitely bulletproofing. No surprises. That's, yeah, if we can keep no surprises, that's often nowadays cake. If we were live, I would have brought you guys a chocolate cake. If any of you come to Colorado and you want to have a class, it's always in it. I always have food in my classes in the end. So when you talk about the bundt cake, you kind of want to eat the cake afterwards. For communication with our people, everyone has a different communication style. There's people like me who are chatty. There's people who are not like me and they are not chatty. And maybe they just want facts on everything. Maybe they want you to go through every week and tell them where they're at in their dates and deadlines. Maybe they just want a weekly touch that says, this week we are going to be doing your seller property disclosure. You've already filled that out. Thank you. I'll be sending that to the other side. You've got your association documents. You're letting them know that they see this on their it's in their contract so they can reference it, that you've got everything you need. You're going to be sending that to the listing agent. And that title is going to be sending their first title commitment out that day also, and that they should be receiving that from the title officer at the title company. So just a good reminder, something they can reference. I like to think of what could you go to at 2 a.m. if you woke up in the middle of the night and you were stressed over what was going on, because in addition to the contract and all those dates and deadlines, they are making some serious life changes. They are packing to move. This may be a move that they wanted to have. It may be a move that was forced on them. There may be other life situations going on. So just try and be the loving reminder of keeping the transaction going while knowing they have other things. You would have gotten the information when you were first doing your initial buyer. You probably have a sheet on them from your buyer intake, your buyer meeting, talking about if they prefer emails or texts or phone calls, or if the person A gets all of the dates and deadlines, but then person B is copied on everything else. It's going to be different in each transaction. So just reiterate to them, have in my notes, I see you like to have email updates once a week going to both of you, so you both know what's going on. If anything changes, you want me to give you a phone call and you'd like for me to call you in the afternoon. Just reiterate those things to make sure that you've got the right communication going with them. And then also how they're going to communicate back to you with any questions that they run into. So that way you guys have good lines of communication. You're going to be talking to their lender. If they have a loan, you need to make sure that the lender's got everything going. Different lenders have different protocols. Sometimes they're not going to give you as much information as you need. So you need to make sure that you've got that relationship established with them. Your title company is going to be in touch with you. They might just ask you a question to double check on something or to clarify something. And then the other agent, you're going to be talking to the other agent a lot. We have 400 agents total in our board. So we've got a pretty small board. We also have about 2 grocery stores. So we see each other constantly. Like the first day I started at Keller Williams, my team member looked at me and he said, if you're mean to anyone, they're the first person you see when you pick up your kids or go to the grocery store. And it just keeps us all really nice. So, I mean, you are a good fiduciary. You are taking care of your client and you have a good relationship with those other agents too, as much as possible. So keeping those lines of communication open with everybody. And then as soon as there's an amendment or anything, what I see on different contracts, if you need an amendment, they're probably going to need an amendment at some point or vice versa. So as long as it's reasonable and it's not going to take away from what you're trying to get to, be open to negotiating with that other side of the contract. Any questions on interacting, communication? Nope, we're all good on that. Okay, cool. Let's keep going.
So one little tip on that, Sarah, is I always send the e-calendar through, we have CTME, so I send the e-calendar and just verify dates and deadlines with everybody involved in the transaction, which is the lender, the other agent, whether it be buying or listing, the title company. It helps everybody stay on the same page, but it also triggers for me personally to make sure that I'm putting those dates and deadlines into my opportunities and command, so I know when I need to follow up.
Absolutely. Adam, that was so good because tomorrow night we're going to talk about putting your dates in command and having those show up as tasks. Woo! And
Perfect.
e-calendar, I also use CTM. I adore it because I was talking to a client the other day. They didn't understand why we laid out our dates and deadlines in such a weird order because it was on the contract in order of the contract. They wanted it in calendar order, and CTM will do that for you in a beautiful way that just looks like a normal calendar and tells you what it is. Not everybody has software that does that. We use DocuSign a lot at our market center as well because that's integrated into Command, and unfortunately that doesn't do that. So we do a lot of manual entering into the calendar, or we Google Calendar it and invite people, but seeing it in actual order somehow is different than when you're looking at the contract and looking at those dates in the order of the contract. So yeah, thank you, Adam. It's a huge time saver because otherwise people might not have clicked that, oh, those deadlines are this Wednesday.
Right.
And I didn't say it earlier, I meant to with the dates and deadlines. Wednesdays are amazing days to put your dates on. Adam, go ahead.
No, I fully agree with the Wednesdays. It gives you a couple days to prepare and a couple days to fix. So it's Wednesdays are a perfect date. Now I forgot what I was going to say, so never mind me.
Jump in
Oh yeah.
anytime it comes back.
No, on the CTME, when you're looking at dates and deadlines, it almost makes sense if you go from the bottom up. It start at the closing date, and then due diligence is right above that. So if you go to the bottom and work your way back up, it kind of makes more sense.
Yeah, it's for whatever reason that part of the contract is just makes my heart so happy. It organizes things. So you will make as many contracts as you can. If you don't have a contract to do for a client right now, find your favorite listing on the MLS and just write a contract for it. Practice doing those contracts. Do it on the buy side, do it on the list side. I know it sounds goofy, but you will get to just love the contract. Nicole, you seem so adamant about that. It is, it's long in Colorado. We got a good, 20 plus pages, but it's yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the best way to learn it. Yeah. And then I have a friend that does stock trading, and he told me that's what he had to do was paper trade. And I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna paper trade some $1 million homes around here and make sure I'm good at my contract. So, and you'll see from other agents different things that they do on their contracts. Yes, exactly. That repetitive motion. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. And we have, depending on what software you have, so we have different ways that we can automate these things. We're going to dive into some smart plans and things like that tomorrow. We'll touch on them a little bit tonight, but making sure the other thing at CTM for the contract software in Colorado, it can keep all of our emails in one place. And that really helps sometimes to keep everybody organized and in one space, especially if you do have an admin or a TC or a team member. You want to make sure that you have a good record of all of that. And depending on the compliance in your area, you might actually have to make copies of those emails. And so it's nice to keep them all in one spot. That way you've got everything complete in your file. So also with texting, there's different ways that we can capture text so that you've got that for your records afterwards. And then following up, so if you send something out for signature, making sure you have something in place. So if you're using a contract management program that alerts you when signatures are back, then you're good on that. If you are using a contract management software that does not alert you, or you have a TC or someone else who's sending those out for you, you want to make sure that you have that ability to know when those signatures are back so you can be sending them to the other side. And yeah, I think we're good on this page. So now we are going to talk about seller transaction. It's not going to be as long as the buyer transaction because we covered a lot of it talking on the other side. So same thing. You've got a relationship. You're talking to your sellers already. The first thing they need to know is that you're under contract. That's going to be the first thing that you're talking about. They probably already know because there's probably been some back and forth. There might be a counter proposal. You might have just redone a contract. There might be multiple offers, different scenarios. So the seller's going to need to know that they're under contract to start with. And then you kind of kick things off because you will have a team around you, the other agent, the inspectors, the lenders. You're basically doing what we just talked about on the buy side, but on the opposite side. So there's a few different things on this. So you're going to now be looking at this bottom part. So the first thing that we do is we go into our MLS and we put that under contract or pending, whatever your MLS uses. It's not here, but really at the same time, and sometimes even before, I send that contract over to my title agency. I let them know because I want to give them a heads up, and they may have already started on some investigation or they might have some awareness of this, but I like to let them know that we've got that contract. They're going to open title for us. So one of our title agencies, I just email them. It's an email. I say, here's the contract. Here's the other side of it, the buyer's agent at this point. Here's their contact information. And then they usually ask us for commission to start with, although they know things may change, but we're going to give them the commission rate that we have, the price that it went under contract for, and what our exclusive right to sell contract says the commission rate is going to be. We have some documentation in Colorado that sometimes brokers have agreed on commission together, and sometimes we'll send that to title. It all depends on, in the Colorado contract, what we're saying down at 29, which one we've checked. I'm not going to get into other states because I don't know your contracts that well, but just let your title company know, and they're great about looking at the contract and seeing what's there. So go ahead and open up title and get your title officer. That'll get them going. One of the title officers I work with a lot showed me this great diagram, and I think of it every time I open up title with her. It was her in the middle as title and a spoke, and I was just one of those spokes. And she had all these other people to deal with. And it made me realize that the more information I can give her, the faster she's going to make all those other people do what they need to do. She'll make sure that she's in touch with everyone else. So make sure that your title company is happy and they've got the information they need. Also, a great time to remind everyone involved about wire fraud. There's a lot of wire fraud, and you want to make sure that nobody falls victim to it. So depending on your title officer, they're probably going to reach out to the people individually and make sure that they've got secured ways of sending things throughout the transaction to them. And then also making sure when it comes to even depositing that earnest money with them, that they're not sending it off to some weird place, that they're actually sending everything to the title company. I always make sure that the client and the title are talking together about that, because I don't ever want to be in the middle of it, and I don't want anyone to ever be in the middle of it with them. We just give them as much heads up, and as we have some standard things that we hand them about wire fraud to make sure they're aware of it, that we really let our title company take the lead on that to make sure that they know the specific protocol, who their officer is, how to reach out to them, and to look for anything suspicious, because we want to make sure that their funds are protected. So after we have title going, we've probably are going to be hearing back about the inspector pretty soon. If you're on the listing side, your seller's going to see all those dates and deadlines and might have questions about things that pertain to the buy side of it. So you just want to be able to go through those with them and let them know, like, oh, the D, where is the D on it? Oops, I went back too far. Let me see if I can find out what that D is. Good eye. I bet it says somewhere in here. I know that the BA is the buyer's agent, the LA is the lending agent, and if anybody figures it out before I can actually see it in the notes, you are welcome to throw it in the chat or shout it out. Because I don't know if it tells me what that D is. Huh. I'll look on our break. I'll come back and tell you what that D means. Because I am not seeing it, and they tell us the BA is the buyer's agent, the LA is the listing agent, but they don't. Oh, sorry. Documents. They're letting you know that there's documents involved in it. That's what the D is. Okay. Yeah. Good eye. Okay, so going back to the listing side, you're probably gonna be talking about the inspections. You're gonna wanna keep your seller abreast with what the buyer's doing. They might wanna know about, did they get the seller property disclosure? Did they have anything to say about it? Did they sign it? It's gotta come back to them. The association docs. We have so many questions about dogs and HOAs in our area. That's probably the biggest thing about our association docs is how many dogs can you have in an HOA, and do they make exceptions? Because their dog's 40 pounds, but the law says 35 pounds. So you're going to get into stuff like that. And it's usually things they can make their objection, you have your resolution on it. The appraiser is going to be scheduled through the lender, so you're going to want to have those conversations going with the buyer's agent because the lender will probably not be speaking to you as the listing agent. And then the low appraisal response, I was actually surprised that they put that on here. I think we have seen a low appraisal, not often. Currently, we don't, in our area, we don't have a big appraisal gap that we run into a lot, but do your comps. We pretty much all are pulling from the same pool of data, so go ahead and do your comps on that. And when we do have a low appraisal, we actually had one, it was a few months ago, she was on the buy side. She pulled comps to the appraiser, and then the appraiser pulled more comps and redid his appraisal, and it came more in line. So you can work with pretty much all of your allied resources on that. And then you're going to get close to reviewing the closing documents. You'll be close to that towards the end of it. So that is a very abbreviated timeline on it. Again, you're going to have those same interaction points with people. Keep good communication. It's really hard to over communicate. You want to be the expert. You want to help them out. You want to make a client for life with this. And again, the documentation, we're going to be using different contract programs to be going through. You're going to find the one that works well in your area. And all of us have access to DocuSign. Most of our MLSs have something in them that you can use. If you don't like DocuSign or you're not paying for like .ctm, our MLS supplies us with Instanet. And again, make sure that you know how you're going to be receiving documents back when they've been fully executed, who's responsible for sending them to who. It sounds like a lot, and it is a lot of details, but you get a good rhythm for it. And it's nice because you're moving it along, you're seeing these milestones, you're making progress, you're getting everyone closer. There's a lot of emotion, but it can be a lot of excitement too. So, okay. I'm just going to say really fast that tomorrow, opportunities, we're going to do a transaction, basically kind of a mock transaction. I like to buy and sell my office a lot. So we're just going to go through and then we're going to talk about the dates and deadlines. And let me do a stop share real fast. This is either going to terrify some people and you're not going to ever want to come to another class with me again, or you're going to be like, oh, she's my person. Let me show you what I have for you tomorrow. You just go back and share this. And I'm going to send this to Alana and Matt so they can also send this out to everybody. Haley Armstrong, she is one of our Market Center Tech trainers from a long time ago, had made this beautiful spreadsheet. This actually has a listing side and a buyer side, and you may have run across this before, but we're going to talk about customizing Command, because one of the really cool things Command can do is you can customize the phases and stages, and you can make it where it updates your clients for you, and it sends these really cool notifications, because sometimes we get really busy and we forget to tell them all the many things that we're doing for them because we don't want to stress them out. We want them to be doing their thing. But if they're getting these reminders of like all these different things that we're doing for them, it's impressive. It also helps keep on track. So Yeah, we're gonna do not all of it, but just a little bit of customization so you can make sure that you're delving into command and you know in your opportunities how to customize things to work in your world. And obviously it geeks me out way too much, so I hope I didn't scare anybody away on that. I just make it yours, make it to where it's your business and you really enjoy it, and you're sending those customer updates, and it's a lot of fun actually. It's a good spreadsheet. Okay, I think we're almost through this section and I'm going to give you guys a break. Let me just jump back and make sure there's nothing else I needed to tell you about dates and deadlines. We'll go back to our slides here. Oh, we're so close. I'm going to save these ahas for just 1 second. We talked about this a lot. The communication, there's one thing I do want to point out that we're going to also talk about tomorrow. Has anyone gone through the valued squared in their market center or have seen it on command? It was something that Gary Keller, Jay Papazan, and Jason Abrams had come out with. It was when the NAR settlement was going on. I'm going to send you guys the link to that. And I actually, on our break, I'll get it so I can put it in our chat. It is one of the best ways to communicate your value, to talk about like what Nicole said about setting those expectations up front and being a professional throughout the transaction. It's how you can win with people and how you can lose their trust. And they've got it broken down in a way that just works really well. So I'll get that together during break and I'll put that in our chat, but I'd like for you guys to see that because it's better. It's said better than I can say it. That's what I'm going to say. So being proactive, making sure you're a fiduciary, making sure that you're there, also allowing the deal to fall apart when it's the right thing to do. And sometimes it is the right thing to do. We want to make sure that we're protecting earnest money. We want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our clients. I work with a sweet lady, and right now she has a sweet client who terminates every Tuesday. And we call her Tuesday Terminator because it has happened 3 Tuesdays in a row now. And it's okay because she is going to find the right house. She's on the buy side. They're going to find it. It's going to happen. We don't call her Tuesday Terminator to her face. Gosh, I'm recorded. You guys will probably never see me on another Ignite. Sorry, Matt. We never say it to their face. But we do sometimes vent to each other in a way where we're like, but it's the right thing because she was always going to have a question in the back of her mind about what came up at the last house that she didn't feel right about. So please, please, please always do what's right for your client. Sometimes it's best to walk away. It's hard, but sometimes it's best. Yep. And the Y4C2Ts. We have that posted on our wall, and our supervising broker says it never goes past win-win. Because if it was win-win, we wouldn't be having a conversation about what went wrong. So all the Y4C2Ts are good, but it usually starts with win-win on that. So again, sometimes you've got to remove yourself from the situation and just do what's right for everyone else involved in it. Okay, I think we're ready for some ahas. That was our first part of the contract. We're going to talk real briefly about the value squared slides, but does anybody have any ahas or questions or anything right now?
I
This
personally
part's super
enjoy,
fast. Oh, go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
no, that's okay. I personally enjoy seeing the process just on paper or in a slide because not only do I get a visual, I'm also hearing it because I'm one of those learners where I learn the best through all 3 applications: classroom instruction, reading, and then hands-on. That's the kind of learner that I am. Very few people, and I learned this when doing some union training, very few people can learn by just one method. It's less than like 10%.
Absolutely agree with you. Yeah. And I think, like we were talking about earlier, just doing those contracts over and over again, getting that like muscle memory and knowing those different points of the contract makes such a difference. And tomorrow we're going to sell 700 Main in Durango. So we're going to fill out not the full contract. Oh gosh, no, I won't do that to you guys. It's 21-page contract. But we are going to talk about the dates and deadlines and going through that. That way you can play along if you want. I've got a blank contract. It's Colorado contract, but I'll be dropping that tomorrow so you guys can see that too. Because I'm with you. If my hands do it, I remember it. If they don't, I don't always remember it. Referrals and reviews. If you've done all those things, kept in communication, put the other people first, you're going to have repeat business. We have these great statistics that say stuff like 86% of the people when they leave closing would use their agent again, 13% did. We don't always stay in touch with people. We don't always ask for the repeat business. We don't always ask for a referral or a review. So there's an awesome smart plan that's just for referrals and reviews. And so we're going to look at that tomorrow. I know people who actually slide a piece of paper at the end of the closing documents that ask for the review while they're just signing their documents away. A lot of it's electronic now, but if they can get that piece of paper that asks them for a testimonial while they're happy and they're signing things, they have pretty good luck at it. And then they just go back and type it into their website. So different ways. Anyone have any good ways that they do referrals or review or get people to say some nice words about them publicly? There seems to be, I talking to our agents at the office, this is why we don't end up with a lot of referrals or reviews, is we don't know how to ask them. We're actually doing some classes on it specifically, because we have found that as an office, we're not always good about asking for it. Some people do the promise. A lot of people put it in their buyer or listing presentation. It's good to remind people occasionally. I know people who actually ask for it when they're through inspection. They got through inspection, it's looking like they're clear to close. People are feeling happy about it, and then they go ahead and ask for it. Oh, yeah, yeah. That's a great idea to have that AI for the review. And then if you have the link with the Google review, I believe that it will insert that link for you on some of it. Yes, exactly. Yeah, Derek. Yeah. Yeah, the easier you can make it for them, the more likely they are to finish doing that review for you. So, yeah, awesome. Okay. I know I have threatened you guys with a break several times. I think we actually do have one coming up here now. Oh, post-close follow-up. This is the smart plans that I talked about. I'm not even going to open them up because you guys will never have a break for me if we start looking at smart plans tonight. I'll get way too excited, more excited than that spreadsheet. So we're going to do the smart plan tomorrow for making sure everybody has the 36 touch. If you were with me last time, we looked at the 36 touch in the smart plans, and it's one of them for that just mimics what we learned in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And then we're also going to talk about the Facebook review smart plan. Or I'm sorry, not the Facebook review, the Google review. Sign up for Google review page through link. Angelica, let me. Oh, Tyra, I love what you said too. I'm going to tell you the truth. My MCTT, who is setting up everybody's reviews now, is in helping us on. Let me see if I can get, or if anyone has information, you can throw it in the chat. That would be awesome. Oh, perfect. And that's just that free Google sign up for your business on Google, I believe, to get you started. Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Agent follow-up. I keep thinking we have a break, but this section is longer than the rest of what we. Be nice to the other agent. You just went through a transaction with them. One of the best things you can do is invite them to a training that might help them. If you have somebody come into your market center that like we just had Tyler Shields down and he did Win with Buyers and it was an awesome class. Something like that that's just fun and going to add value to them. You might have um, well, I'm going to tell you what my TL wants me to say. My team leader would like for me to say, but they would like for you to let the other agent know that your coach will be calling them to follow up and offering them a book. That's what my team leader really likes to do. She likes to follow up with the other agent, them out to coffee and give them a MREA or a shift or a one thing book. And then also we're pretty honest with our team leaders too, because we are a small town and we kind of know each other. Like there's one lady we all adore. She's really probably never going to join us, but she knows that she has carte blanche to any training we have, any of our books. We invite her to everything. And whenever we do a transaction with her, it's just a great experience. So while we would love for people to join Keller Williams, sometimes we just want to have good experiences with those agents moving forward. So keep that in mind, and no one ever complains about a handwritten card. You can just send them a handwritten card that says thank you. And that goes so far in this day and age. It's Carolyn who leads the luxury with Brady, and she says that for every agent who writes her an offer, she writes them a thank you card back, and she sometimes gives them like a Starbucks card in it, just to thank them for writing the offer because she knows someday they're going to do business together. And that just makes your job easier down the road. So make sure to follow up with those other agents. Sometimes you want to go out and just be like, we did it. Good job. Everybody has 10 fingers still. We got through closing. So, yeah, make sure to love on those other agents. Okay. That was for real the first part. Any questions, any ahas, any clarification y'all would like? Okay, let's do a fast break. I was going to do a 10-minute break, but I think I have talked way too long. Let's do a 5-minute break. I'll set a timer. Get up, stretch, do whatever you have to do. Let the dog out. Let your family know you're still alive. And then you guys are going to see me get really excited about our post close here in 5 minutes. So, oh, and speaking of referrals, if you would kindly, and I did not fill this out properly. Ugh, I did a terrible job on this one. I'll have to fix the next one. Scan that. We are taking evaluations. Matt and Alana are concerned with the people they have out to teach you guys. They want to make sure that we are doing the right thing. And we all love feedback. So I am going to fix this slide for y'all during our break, but we are in Ignite. My name is instructor, not in drop down, but I am Sarah Hill, and I will put this information in for you guys. So I will give you guys a 5-minute break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about post-close and setting up your big life. And I will see you guys in about 5 minutes. I'm going to just go ahead and stop the share. And I will, let's see, it's 8:23. So let's say 8:28. We'll all come back and finish this off. Okay, welcome back, guys. We are going to now cover session 20, planning your future. Okay, so let me get a screen share started for y'all on this. Oh, and I did what I was supposed to do previous to the class and actually put my name on here. So I am Sarah Hill. My instructor name is not in the drop down because we have to have 75 good people turn in evaluations for us before they will put our names in the drop down. There's other things we have to do too, but that is part of what gets your name in there. And it's virtual. If it asks for a region, you put your region, but I think virtual takes care of it. And it is Ignite, and we are covering sessions 19 and 20 tonight. So moving along, planning your future. So we're going to talk about setting your sights on a big future. Would anyone like to read this? I put Nicole on the spot last time. Going once. I see some people looking. Thanks, Adam.
How you think matters. How you think in the beginning really matters.
Thank you. I tend to be optimistic anyways, so I kind of just really adore the mindset portion of it. It's one of my favorite things about Keller Williams, and I love the fact that we have Gary Keller still leading the company because we can see the results of both his positive mindset and his implementation and doing that boring thing with consistency time and time and time again to build the company that he's built. So let's talk about mindset. Keller Williams is really about the only place I've worked for company-wise that walked the talk. And I believe that you will find more people than not throughout our company who really are concerned with making sure that you're aligned, that you are congruent with the things that matter to you. When we say God family business or faith family business, that we're not discounting the first two, that we actually mean what we say and we live those principles. And a lot of that is your mindset and being aligned and taking action to have a successful day. We talk about winning the morning. We talk about just doing some things that would help us throughout the day. So I don't want to break us into breakout rooms because I think that's going to be too long, but let's take advantage of our chat. And if you just want to name something that helps you with mindset, if some of you have had the experience of going through BOLD or some of our other trainings, we talk about our mindset quite a bit in that as well. And one of the things that we have done in that is we have our BOLD laws. We also have, I'm just going to start in our chat. We sometimes are also doing gravitation and meditation. Yeah. And then affirmations or something that we practice a lot with people. So I'll put affirmations down. Yeah. Yeah. Saying those affirmations, it becomes addictive at some point. And the way I look at it is your brain's going to hold. We've got like, there's nobody really knows. I'll say that. What I hear the most is about 60,000 thoughts per day. Of those, about 75% of those, probably 80% are a little repetitive. Not all of them are actually really positive, and not all of them are things that you would say out loud to another person. So if you can take those affirmations or looking at things in a positive way And we're not trying to ignore reality, but you're only going to be holding on to about 7 thoughts at any one point in time. So out of those like 60,000 things that are going on, you're not paying attention to more than just a few. So if you can have more good than bad in your head at the time, it's going to help out quite a bit. Um, Getting out in nature. I think the picture's perfect. Just stepping outside. There's such great research no matter where you're at. You can be in the middle of a city, you can be in the middle of the woods. Going outside for a few minutes can really change your mindset if you're stuck in something. So doing something that helps your mindset, yeah, less negative, limiting beliefs, dropping those. We're very fortunate that this becomes part of our business because we don't all get that. It becomes part of our conversations with each other, and it's part of our culture. So we're real lucky. Yeah, 6 minutes. It's crazy. You can literally just take a 6 minute walk and it does so many good things for you. It's amazing. Yeah, working out, winning the morning. I never thought I would be a morning person until I went to mega camp a couple years ago and I was persuaded to try it. And I've been a believer for about 4 years now on winning the morning. Because if I can make sure things go right in the morning, the rest of the day usually works out pretty well. So the rest of what we have is the Y4C2Ts. And that's what I was just referencing that, if you're doing things win-win, the rest of it kind of falls in place. I won't make you guys do it tonight. We'll see how tomorrow goes. But there's a dance that goes along with the Y4C2Ts. I'm really not going to have anybody between my spreadsheets and threatening to make you dance. Adam, you came off mute. Are you going to dance for us?
No way. No, I was just gonna say, if you do have a bad day too, like I was having a bad day today, and I couldn't shake myself out of a funk, and luckily I'm blessed to have somebody in my circle that is very positive and kind of got me out of that. So just want to give a shout out. Thanks, Tyra. I appreciate you. Um, she kind of said, "Get your stuff together. Let's go. You got it," and it definitely helped. So uh, don't be afraid to don't beat yourself up if you have a bad day. That's all I'm trying to say.
I love that. And if you guys have accountability partners that you've had through Ignite, don't lose them, keep them. It's so good to have somebody to bounce things off of, or like Adam said, when you have that bad day, to get someone to just kind of help you pull you up through that. One of the best things that was ever told to me at Keller Williams was from Bev Steiner. And you can look her up. She's been with Keller Williams for quite a long time. Yes, exactly. No one succeeds alone. And she was on stage and she said the reason why so many people help here is we have two hands. And you take one hand and you put it in front of you, and someone's going to pull you up and help you. Bev Steiner, I'll put it in there. And then with your other hand, because someone pulled you up, you've got to reach back around and you've got to find someone to pull up with you. And that's what we do is we help each other out here. There are people that have helped me that I've just been, they had no reason. They didn't, they crazy busy people. I can tell you anyone who trains with Keller Williams, anyone you see on stage, anyone who gets interviewed, they are there to help you if you have questions or have any follow-up. They're busy, so be respectful of their time. But that's part of training here is that we believe that in teamwork, we believe in having success, that we have results through others. There's so many good things about this company. Okay, I can keep on going, but you'll be here till midnight with me. So let me go to the next slide. Okay, so now that you've gone through Ignite, I'm going to actually leave this as a little bit of homework for y'all. But look back in your notes at your value proposition. because things may have changed over the last few weeks for you guys. You have learned more. You have more skills now than you had when you started. You probably have a little more confidence. You may have dialed in on that unique value proposition a little bit more. And if you feel like you're stuck on something, ask the people around you, ask a coach, ask the people you work with, ask your friends, ask your family, ask ChatGPT, who actually, if you're nice to them, is exceedingly sweet. Matt and I get on to these conversations onto the Zoom before you guys get on. And he was showing me his ChatGPT person, his Iron Man that it made. And we were talking about how sometimes when you've had a bad day, ChatGPT thinks you're pretty amazing. So if you get stuck, find your resources, look at your value proposition that you started with, go back through your notes. It's kind of funny when we're doing this virtually, because when we do Ignite in our market centers, a lot of times you have this big, beautiful binder. Keep your printouts, write in it. I love to go through my Ignite that I've done in the beginning and go back through. Yeah, ChatGPT is my best friend. I'm glad you feel that way. I wish I felt the same way about myself that my ChatGPT sometimes feels about me. But I've only said the good things to it. I haven't told it the bad things. That's why it thinks I'm amazing. Okay, so go back through your value proposition and take a look at that. The other thing that we're going to be talking about is your big life. So I love talking about big lives because it is so dynamically different for everyone. And I think there's value in knowing your vision, knowing your future, knowing your big life, but also knowing that your big life is going to be so different than probably anyone else's big life. My big life is pretty simplistic to me. Probably not to everybody. The things that matter the most to me, part of what we're going to do tomorrow is I'm just going to give everybody a values list, because it's super, super easy to go through and like actually circle the values that resonate with you. You're going to find that different things for different people are what make you happy. Like I am very happy driving up in the mountains. I have an old Toyota Tacoma that I absolutely adore, and I want to camp, and I want to be in a hammock, and I want to be in a tent. I have a very, very, very good friend she calls me a dirt dweller. That's why I said my big life is probably simplistic. Hers involves a lot more upkeep. And we're both thrilled with our big lives, and we're both really happy that yes, I love my Toyota. It's a 99 Toyota and everything on it is manual. So I have those and it's by choice. I love that car so much. And I can sleep in the back and I can drive all around and camp. So that's part of my big life. It gives me the experiences I want. I don't expect anyone else. Well, my honey, I want my husband to also share in some of my big life, so I'm not camping alone, but it doesn't have to satisfy anyone but other than you.
You're in a very good spot for that too, Sarah.
I am. I'm very, very lucky that I literally drive about 15 minutes and I can start camping. So yeah, if anybody comes to Southwest Colorado, find me. We'll leisurely hike. I live in a town full of professional athletes and they do these like crazy endurance things. No, if you come to Durango, we're going to do something like a picnic, wander in the mountains and enjoy it. If you need to do professional athlete, I'll set you up with those people because it's not my speed. So looking at your vision, looking at your future, looking at your big life, it's something that's always evolving too. I really love the fact that at Keller Williams, they told me one time when I got super stuck on what my big life was, because I felt like whatever I was answering was not big enough, that somehow it wasn't satisfying it. I had a trainer tell me, well, why don't you just try dating? you want it to be. You're not married to this. You can just date it and try it out. And that somehow freed me to explore into seeing what was good for me, what resonated, like driving around in my Toyota and sleeping in the back of it in the mountains makes me super happy. I'm okay with that now. I'm starting to find as I work here longer that we have permission to be very authentic and we're accepted for who we are. So, oh, you guys, you're making me want to go camp. You all just come to Durango and we'll all just go camp. It's beautiful, right? Well, not tonight. Tonight it's going to be a little snowy. Yes, it'll be back in the 70s next week. Okay, I think we're coming to the end of our slides. Do we have one last taker for reading a slide? Scott, you feel like reading? You just keep coming up on my screen, so.
One thing all high achievers have in common is they are working for a big why. The big why is about having a purpose, a mission, or a need that in turn gives you focus.
Thank you. So I had someone recently tell me that they were having a hard time finding a big why. And so they decided they were going to break down their big whys into little whys. And they just started assigning whys to different projects. And I liked the way that that worked for them. It kind of freed it. It wasn't as heavy of a, what is your big why? What is your purpose for being alive? Why are you here? It became a little bit lighter, and it also gave her permission to change it. So her big why for a while was she was saving up to go on vacation with her family. That was her why. That was what got her motivated. That's what kept her going forward. She got that goal, and then she found another big why, and she was able to evolve her big whys. Um, Feel free to play with this and make it your own. Make it something that works for you. And the big why, the extraordinary results, it's up to you what that means. It's up to you what you find extraordinary and what you want to see. And it's will motivate you to get you going every day. It's the reason why we do what we do. Because sometimes what we do is hard. So knowing what keeps you going. When you started out Ignite, you guys put some things down about why you were here. You might have done that when you started real estate. All of those things, just keep them, because there's going to be days that you need to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. Make joy files. Make things that you can refer to when you get a rave review, when someone loves on you, when you find something that makes your heart sing. Keep those things where you can access them and where you can go and find that big why. And then other people have no problem with this. Other people know exactly what their big why is and they're dialed in, and it just comes naturally to them. So no matter where you are, you're good with that. Any ahas so far? Okay, I'm going to keep us going. So, smart money business. Like I said earlier, I'll come back to that in a minute. I'm a recovering MCA. I like to talk money. It makes my heart happy. I also think it's very, very, very important in our businesses that we talk money, because it's our job. We take care of large financial transactions. We have the ability to make a lot of money ourselves, and we want to make sure that we are being good stewards to our money. So let me just get the chat out of the way here because I have it right over our slide. So what we talked about earlier was you guys have gone through the 6 core competencies of a business throughout Ignite. Tonight we were talking about number 5, coordinating the sale to closing. And now we're going on to number 6, manage the money. So a few years back, Keller Williams decided it wasn't just important to know how much GCI someone made, that was their gross commission income. They decided they wanted to be featuring businesses that also had profit. So we have this super cool thing in Keller Williams called the 30-30-40. I'm going to be giving some handouts on this tomorrow, but that is going to talk to us about managing our money. And just to give you a real fast breakdown on it, is 30% of what you make could be going to your cost of sales. So that could be if you're on a team, you have a buyer's agent or a listing agent, or you have a TC. TCs sometimes go under cost of sales, sometimes they're an expense. So it's up to your business and your CPA how you're doing that one. And then you have your expenses. That's going to be your other 30%. And we have this really cool thing, just in case I've scared people away. I'm going to show you where you can go for these resources real fast. Let me just get out of here and go here. And start the share again because it did not follow it on my screen. So I am going to a place called Keller Inc. And this is the publishing company for the books that we have, such as Millionaire Real Estate Agent and Hold and Shift and The One Thing. And if you go to Keller Inc. and go to resources, this is going to have a ton of different resources for free that are complementary to the MREA book. In here, it has a big why exercise. It has the economic model that's going to talk about the 30-30-40 that I was just mentioning. You can also have a chart of accounts. So as you're starting your business, or even if you just want to go back and refine your business, it's a good way to have your accounting mimic the way that Keller Williams runs their accounting, so that you're going to be putting the right categories on your expenses, and then you're following that 30-30-40. The best part of that formula is the 40% is profit for you. And if you're a solo agent, that tends to be even higher. We see for some of our solo agents, instead of like 30-30-40, they're doing like 25-30-45. So watch your money. You have worked so darn hard to get that money. You know how much free work we end up doing for people. Sometimes things fall apart. Sometimes that house isn't right for them. When you earn the money, make sure you're a good steward for it. Another resource, and I don't have it pulled up, is Profit First. So excellent, excellent book. Let me get back to the slides. So know that we've got good financial resources here. Let me just share back on the slides here. Okay, cool. And taxes. I probably should have said that first. The very first thing you should do is, when you make that money, set aside, talk to your CPA. We generally recommend about 28% going to taxes. If 28% is hard to remember, do 30%, because there's really no harm in setting aside too much in an interest-bearing account and having that money ready to send to the IRS. Do your quarterlies, do all those things that you should. You are a responsible business owner. Act like a responsible business owner. So when you get that commission in, you're going to see that your market center until you're capped is taking a portion. So we've got 6% that go to royalty. And then you also, and that gets capped at $3,000 throughout Keller Williams. And then you've also got your market center split. So in my market center, we have a cap. So we've set aside that cap. We just pay a transaction fee, and then we pay E&O, which is pretty cool. Like $200 coming out of that is all. And then we usually have a transaction coordinator that gets tied to that as well. And then you're going to see your business expenses. That's not tied to your GCI on that. So that's going to be under your expenses, again, taxes, and then your profit. So you're going to be cutting that dollar up into those different chunks of where it goes. So I'm going to ask you guys this because they put the slide in, but we'll say that this side is A and this side is B. Do you guys think that you should follow A, or do you think you should be following B? If you want to put it in the chat, A would be that you sold your commission, you had the check written out to you, you put it in your personal account, and you put it in your wallet. There is A. B is going to be you sold that house and received your commission. You have a check, you opened a business account. You then took part of your money from your business account and put it in your personal account. You also put money in your tax savings account. You have your federal and your state and your self-employment taxes that all encompassed. And then you put some money in your wallet. Thank you guys for putting B down. I think they made it kind of obvious with the big red through it, but it's so easy to take that check and put it in your account. The best advice I've heard is open your business checking account before you need it. Take $100 and put it in the business account. You're going to have your company filings. We see a lot of LLCs. I'm not going to advise on business here. I'm just going to say that have a business entity. You can be a sole proprietor. If you're doing a larger team, you might end up being an S corp of some sort. But business structure is another thing. If you guys have some questions on that, we can talk about different things tomorrow night on business structure because I do love it. But do the right thing for you. Use your advisors, use your financial advisors, your CPAs, your lawyers, anyone you need to talk to your MCA or anybody doing the finance at your office, and they can also help you with that. But we want to make sure you guys are set up for success. And part of that is having that business account. It also shows the IRS and other entities that you're serious about being a business. So we want to make sure that we got you guys as a financially sound. Oh, I thought we had already read them all. I'll read this one. Money is good for the good it can do. That is Gary Keller. He's got a lot of money and he wants to teach you guys how to be good stewards of it. Who better to learn from than a billionaire? So let me keep us going along here. Okay, so this is kind of what we just talked about. It's the flow of money. You got your income, you got your expenses, you got your profit. If you watch Jason Abrams explain finances, it is my favorite because that's all he does right there. He keeps it simple. He gets to the point. He doesn't overcomplicate it. You don't have to. You really don't have to overcomplicate it. You should know what your goals are. You should have ideas what your budget is. You should know what you're working towards. You've probably laid out in October, November, or when you first started, how many transactions you wanted to do. And that was either based off how much money you wanted to make, or the volume, or the number of families you wanted to serve. But whatever your goal might be on that. And then your expenses, there's a standardized expense report that goes in that MREA and it ties in with the chart of accounts. And we talk about it in our business planning. So you're going to see these same things coming at you in different formats just to help reinforce and help you solidify what works for you. And then your income is going to tie back to your profit because you're going to take away your expenses. You guys will become very good stewards of your money. No one's going to care about it as much as you are. So take a little time to learn it. There's a statistic that people who gain wealth spend 8 hours a month talking or learning about money. So watch Dave Ramsey, read a book, listen to Gary Keller, listen to the MRE podcast. There's a wealth building, many different wealth buildings throughout Keller Williams. All of those are going to help you learn about these things. Money's taboo to talk about in a lot of places, but at Keller Williams, we get to talk about money a lot. So ask questions to people too. So going back to those 30, 30, 40, Got 30 for the cost of sales, like we talked about earlier. It's like your royalties, your commissions, your E&Os, those things that have to come out that are tied to that sale. Whereas you've got your expenses, and those are going to be things that aren't tied directly to your sale, but keep your business running. So you might have staff, you've got different insurance, you might have different marketing, you might have command ads, you might have office space. Your market center probably has a tech fee that you're paying. So just categorize those. Oh, sorry, commission goes to the market center, business expenses, taxes. Angelica, I think this slide might actually be covering the other things on it. And the what else? It's a pretty lengthy list that they have. They actually have a chart. And I'll get that to where Alana and Matt can send that out to you guys too. It's part of what's in the business planning, and it talks about if you were at one level of a business and made so much income, how much you would want to spend on both your cost of sales and your expenses to keep you in those different percentages. So they've got it dialed in pretty well. Making sure that you're doing it, following those guidelines is super helpful. Okay, so our best practices, gaining clarity on your big why, your plans for the future, looking at your budget, having a bank account for your business. We talked about the MREA chart of accounts. Ooh, I'm going to see if I can just I'll slide out of here and put that in our chat. I have that in the value squared that I still owe you guys to put in the chat here. And then make sure you've got good people on your side. You're going to want CPAs, attorneys, tax advisors, financial advisors, different people to help you as you're growing that wealth, setting dates, preparing for your future. And what's not on this list, but I think kind of ties into the gaining clarity on your big why and your plans for your future. And knowing your budget, you also know when it's enough. And that is super, super helpful. Okay, I see it's 9 o'clock. So if anyone needs to drop off, oh, awesome. Yay, thanks, Nicole. Nicole put that in there. Don't drop off until you actually pull that. The economic model is, it's going to get you going in the right place. It's going to show you the 30, 30, 40. If you can stay, I'm going to go for just a few more minutes. But if you got to drop off, it is 9 o'clock and I respect your time on that. I just happen to talk way too much because I get excited about this part. I get excited about all of this part of the night. Okay. We're going to go past this. Let's see if we go. This is what you're going to find in that spreadsheet. It's going to be real similar. They're going to talk about your net income, your commission. You're going to have your business expenses. You're going to have commission income, your average commission, your annual transaction goal. This is a whole worksheet that we're going to go through tomorrow. I won't make you guys do it. If you can't join me tomorrow, know that this is something that should be offered in your market center at least once a year. Generally in the fall, it'll be called business planning is usually what it's called. But we talk about your profit and your net goals, and we talk about how much you need to do to reach these goals for you. Table funding, that's going to be part of our opportunities tomorrow because we want to make sure if your market center allows you to get paid at closing that we've got you set up for success there. Oh, we are so close. We're talking about success systems. Please, please, please keep up with what you've been doing throughout Ignite. A lot of people who have taken Bold always say that they wouldn't need to take Bold if they just made the contacts every day that they did during Bold. Same with Ignite. If you just did what you've been doing through Ignite, you wouldn't have to worry about much. So you've got good momentum. Keep it going. See if you can just get yourself to keep going. You can even time block on your calendar the times that you've been doing it. Keep it going. It's going to make you feel like you are, well, it's not just going to make you feel, it's going to make you have a stronger and stronger business. And then when you need to have that mindset reminder or need to be reminded of your big why, find your buddy, let them know, have them pull you out of it, have them grab you, and then take your other arm and grab someone else. Pull them forward with you. Okay, Tomorrow, the other thing we're going to go through is our 411. And I can't say enough good about people like productivity coaches on this call. Thank you so much. And all our other coaches that we have and all of our accountability partners. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please keep up with whoever you've got for your accountability partner. They are amazing. We're also going to take a quick look at time blocking tomorrow. We're not going to get too much on the one thing. We're going to stay more with the MREA part, but the one thing is amazing. Okay, guys, one last thing. We're not going to talk about this. Be learning based. Can you please go through your book at some point? This is a little bit of homework and think about what you'd like to learn over the next 12 months. Find out if you have Bold come into your market center. Find out if you have a 6 personal perspectives or Quantum Leap. Reach out to other market centers around you. Ask Alana and Matt if you've got their information still. I think everybody has Matt's information. Ask them if you know of anybody who's doing an online course that you can jump into. Zoom's made it great to where we can now jump into courses at other market centers. And it's really expanded our learning. Command Your Business, profitability, the business planning, career visioning, all of those are such great skill sets that will help you. Just going to Connect, and now that Connect is in command, you can watch so many hours of videos. Really anything you want to learn, you can. I can keep going about all of our different courses that we have, but I would highly recommend, if you can't do it monthly, try and find something where you're educating and learning something new at least quarterly. Try and tune into those podcasts because you'll learn things off that. Sign up for the podcast one. Every Thursday, you get the one sheet from KW where they went through the best practices. So there's so many resources for y'all. And I can't skip our mission. So this is Keller Williams' mission: to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth living. Make that work for you. You get to decide what that means to you. It's the mission of the company, but you get to decide, just like with your big why, as to what building a career worth having means to you, what a legacy would be worth leaving for you. It's different for all of us. Not all of us want to drive around in a Toyota. Did I mention it's purple? It's a purple Toyota. Adam, are you shaking your head no at me?
Yes, I am.
We all have our own big why. Okay, let me get you guys out of here. Yay! You have officially completed Ignite. Woo! Round of applause for all y'all. Good job, good job, good job. Thank you. And we're going to go through this tomorrow. I only fixed one slide. I go back to that other slide because it's my last task for you guys. I forgot I had 2 slides in here. So please give me your feedback. Alana and Matt have been happy that so far as instructors, we haven't scared anybody too much. We've done pretty well. But we would love, love, love to have your feedback. And I am going to stop our... Oh, I didn't leave that up there long enough. I've got to stop the recording. If I can find the recording to stop it. There we go.